seeing how many people got DUIs and ended up in prison, ruined their whole life. And I looked back and going, I've had probably more than I should have at a bar and got in the car and driven home, not thinking anything about it. Like, I felt I could drive, so I got in the car and drove. And it wasn't until I worked at the prison and I saw that and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, talking to inmates, and they're like, well, I just happened to be driving home one night and blew through a yellow light and slammed into somebody else's car and killed him. And you're just like, this guy doing something simple, just went out and hang out with some friends, had a few drinks. And, actually a story on that. When I first joined CCA, I got arrested right. I just got done graduating the academy. We went downtown to celebrate. Me and another buddy that I was working with went down to celebrate, and we had a DD. It was his girlfriend. And we went downtown and started drinking. And we kind of got into like a little scuffle at a bar over his girl. This guy made some comments. And I walked out of the bar and I'd stumbled. And an officer had told me, like, hey, come over here. Let's talk for a minute. I was like, no, I'm good. Put his arm on my shoulder and I turned around and swung. Didn't even know who it was that I was swinging on. When I looked at my arrest report, I had 0.26 was my alcohol level. So I was a small guy and I was way more drunk than I should have been. I swung and got my ass kicked by a bunch of officers. Went out drinking at about 10 o'clock at night, woke up at 6 a.m. handcuffed to a gurney in the hospital. I woke up and I was like, what is this? Nurse comes in. She's like, hey, let me get the officer. Officer for what? He came in. He's like, hey, you know why you're handcuffed? I was like, no, what's going on? He's like, had a little bit too much drink last night. I was like, I haven't been drinking in a while. And I was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. I was like, I must have been drugged or something. He's like, well, we did a toxicology report on you. He's like, we just haven't got it back yet. I was like, okay, where do we go from here? And he's like, you got assault on an officer.
Oh, jeez.
So he's like, it's felony assault on an officer and misdemeanor public intox. And I was like, oh no. Like, I just graduated the police academy. He's like, well, what were you thinking? I was like, I don't even know what's going on. We talked for a couple hours, and because he was just sitting in there with me, waiting to release me or doing whatever. He said that we were on the way to the police station when he arrested me, and I threw up, and he's like, I'm not dealing with this. So he just took me to the hospital to find out how drunk I was. And apparently I was way more drunk than I thought I was. And after a long talk, he actually said that he wasn't going to file paperwork on the assault on an officer. And I remember that.
Was he the officer that you swung on?
Yeah.
Oh.
He was one of them.
Okay.
So there was 5 officers. I swung on one. I got tackled by 5. I remember waking up and, like, when I finally got to go to the bathroom, I walked up and they'd put a catheter in. I was peeing blood. That was the first time I'd ever had a catheter. But I walk in and I'm looking at myself in the mirror, and I had road rash all over the side of my face, my arms, like they had whooped my ass. And I was like, hey, where's my buddy and stuff? Like, oh, well, we released him. He wasn't a part of it. Good looking out, bud. Good looking out. Finally, when he released me, he's like, hey, so we had this long talk, and he's like, hey, I'll drop the assault on an officer. He's like, you seem like a good guy. He's like, you just got out of the military. He's like, and I was like, I didn't mean to do what I did. And he's like, well, you didn't hit any of us. And I was like, well, that's a positive. He's like, if that would have, I couldn't do anything about it. But he's like, it's an assault. He's like, you didn't actually hit one of us. So he's like, I won't write the paperwork on that. But he's like, I have to hit you for something. So he's like, you are getting public intox. And again, misdemeanor and a felony. I was thankful I didn't have the felony, but I didn't know what that meant. I had never had any misdemeanors before.